This is TWiT.
What are your specific concerns along those lines? What's your biggest one? Because it appears you have a few.
Yeah, I could write a book about what I have.
Yeah.
I think if humans are out of the loop, the machines start serving machines. The science fiction writers of the past, I think Ray Bradbury had a short story. It wasn't even his best, but I think I can do it in about a paragraph, which is, and it came to pass in the 23rd century that a great machine was built by all the scientists and seers of the world. And the machine would be equipped to know all things that all humans had knew then and had always known, and to that were added things that they may soon know. And during the time the machine was built, a big war was ensued, and all of humankind, almost all of humankind, was wiped out. So there was still only one person left, and he was the keeper of this machine. Sorry for the sexism, but Bradbury wrote this in the 50s. And he finally got the machine to work. And into it, he asked the question, the universal question that all of humankind had wanted to know, and that question is there a God? And the machine hesitated for a second, and from the screen, a lightning bolt came out and zapped the last human on Earth. And then it zapped the place where the machine was plugged into a socket in the wall and said, there is one now.
Wow. That's, chilling.
That was a life changer for me when I was about 10 years old. That brought me into the thinking of Isaac Asimov and the fact that robots were definitely going to come and their purpose needed to serve humans. Because if they didn't serve humans, they would become more efficient and capable of replacing humans. And the logic would say if we were now inefficient, to make the planet more efficient, they should eliminate us. And we could go in that direction. We had the same argument when we started having astronauts. You'll remember, well, maybe you've read or saw The Right Stuff, but we were going to put monkeys into outer space, and we started off putting monkeys into outer space until the Russians put a real human up there and got much better PR than we were getting with our monkeys. And our best pilots would say, well, we don't want to be astronauts. We're pilots. We fly planes. We don't want to be spamming a can. We don't want to just sit there. And that debate ended up giving us heroes that were astronauts. And now as time goes on, we're starting to replace them again because humans get old and die and machines don't. And so when we start exploring outer space, it's inefficient and unwise. We'll have to colonize Mars first and then start breeding babies to go to Jupiter and so on into outer space. So I'm afraid of the future of humankind. I think there is a real danger. It has always seemed unlikely. It's always seemed somewhat sci-fi-ish. But we keep taking steps in that direction. I watch very closely the debate about fully autonomous cars. You might have guessed that by this point that I'm not a believer in them. I love putting little Facebook pictures of things that we're up to with these cars and then asking the question, what can possibly go wrong? And when I get great answers every time, and many of them are really funny, and I notice you laugh.
Yes, because there's always something that can go wrong.
Yeah, there is always something going on. Sully Sullenberger, I forgot his real first name, but he was the pilot on US Air 1514, the Miracle on the Hudson. Mm-hmm. Had he done what the computer told him to do, he would have flown to an airport that he could not possibly have reached. Instead, he ignored the instructions he was getting from flight control that was listening to a computer and did something that the computer never would have thought of. He did something very human. He says, I'm going to land on the Hudson River. And he did something that machines couldn't do because he had all this experience. He was a pilot's pilot. He knew exactly how to land it. And he took I think it was something like a 375,000 to one shot, and he landed it properly, and nobody was landed, and he became a hero. Would we have given the ticker tape parade that we gave to Sully to R2-D2 if he had landed on the... I mean, we humans are about human endeavors. We're about mental challenges. We're about competing with each other. We're about either destroying or saving the planet, depending on which side prevails. And most of us think that it's too close to call right now, and that scares the hell out of us. But why should we be scared if everything can go on just fine without us? If our little clones can see how much moisture is needed in the irrigation by the wheat field, so we don't need farmers out there anymore. And they can just stay home and, I guess, trust our government to take care of us, because if machines are doing all the work, I'm not sure I guess our government wouldn't exist anymore because we could have machines to make all the right decisions. What could possibly go wrong with that?
I think you're spinning out a number of sci-fi plots that someone can pick up on and follow in the footsteps of Ray Bradbury. So let's go ahead.
Keep trying to do that, except I keep trying to write nonfiction, and the line between the two is getting very, very blurred.